Kapil came to us in a cloud of mystery. Her manuscript, The Vertical Interrogation of Strangers, called Red Kana then, arrived unsolicited in the mail in 2000. We were wild about it and sent the acceptance letter to a name and address in Boulder, Colorado, an intermediary contact, and then waited, anxious to hear from the unknown author. No word from Bhanu. The contact in Boulder told us she was out of the country. It was all very vague. Finally, when Bhanu did get in touch, she was anxious, first of all, to assure us she was a woman. Because Bhanu is a boy's name in India. Bhanu was the first poet to read her work for the series taped for Kelsey Street by sound engineer Ross Craig, whose meticulous attention is behind most of the recordings on our website. Bhanu opened the reading with an introduction written that morning in a cafe in Oakland. In it she says, "My experience of hybridity is not one of fracture but of integration. A body, even a hybrid one, must communicate among systems, endocrine, nervous, muscular, skeletal, if it is to move, survive, be real. The hybrid experiences the body as whole, in other words, as continuous with itself." A friend of mine, after listening to this recording, had an astonishing reaction. After silence, when it was over, she said, "I want to leave money to Kelsey Street in my will." Her response was completely spontaneous, of a moment with the reading. It was still moving through her, and she didn't want it to stop. Please welcome Bhanu Kapil.
Hello, everyone. When I finally got in touch with Patricia and the time came to name my book, which had been Red Kana, from a yard sale I had attended when I first came to the US and had come upon a print of Georgia O'Keeffe's painting, she called me on the telephone on January the 5th, 2001 at 6:10 p.m. I know the time and date very well because I was in labour with my son, who's now some feral Punjabi American teenager, 13. And she said, "You know, we really need to have a proper title, or decide upon the title for your book." And I remember just one hand on the wall, just trying to very politely explain about the soft tissue of my body contracting. And I just spat it out, and I just said, "Well, Patricia, what about the vertical interrogation of strangers?" She's like, "Oh, well, yes, yeah, I like that. So, thank you very much, and goodbye." And so, this. I'm so grateful to Rena and to Patricia. Quite frankly, without them, I would probably still be working in the McDonald's in Ruislip High Street. Yes, I was working in McDonald's in Ruislip High Street, very unsuccessfully. When, for those of you who are students, my friend Kim Fortier, who was the contact in Colorado, we had just a deal that we would each send out our manuscripts to 5 presses. And she sent my book to Kelsey Street, changing my life pretty much forever, allowing me to return, allowing me to live here in the way that I do, and I'm just astonished to be in this space this afternoon. I wasn't quite expecting how emotional it would be to step into the space of the city, the garden, the rose, the body in quite this way. And so I should like to dedicate my reading to Patricia and Rena in particular for the gift that they gave me of becoming a writer in this country at all. And I have Mei's special watch, so I'm going to keep an eye on the time. And I'm quite dehydrated, so I'm going to just quickly have this. Chuck it down, though I secretly ate raspberries from the market during Hazel's reading, I believe it was. All right. Tell me what you know about dismemberment. And on that note, I'm going to read the very beginning and the very end of my second book from Kelsey Street, which is called Humanimal, a Project for Future Children. And I'm going to time it, so I might just stop abruptly, or maybe one of you could just like start to howl like a wolf if I go on too long. Okay. Humanimal 1. Blue sky fiction for a future child. Balled up, her shaven head and spine visible through her skin, the wolf girl was a singular presence, almost butter yellow against the granular fabric of the Kodak paper. When she died, it was Easter, the hot, dry month before monsoon. Bowing to custom, the priest covered her face with marigolds, soaked the stems with olive oil, then lit a match. Behind the graveyard was a church, intensely white in the pale pink day. Behind the church was the jungle. At the edge of the jungle was a seam, a dense shedding of light green ribbons of bark, a place where things previously separate moved together in a wet pivot. I stood and walked towards it in a dream. Her eyes were grim, intensely clarified against her charred skin as she looked up. Above her, the trees were dense with a dark green fruit I could not identify. In the minutes before capture, the girl reached up, her arms crisscrossing rapidly beneath the bleached, low-hanging vines of the perimeter. She was wearing a white cotton dress, shredded at the sleeve and hem. When I developed the film in New Delhi, the X-ray of a marine skeleton was superimposed upon her left arm, her elbow as thick as a knot. I said it was cartilage, the body incubating a curved space, an animal self. Instead of hands, she had 4 streaks of light. An imprimatur, she saw me and flinched. Humanimal 2. A matrix of fluid digits, images of children in the underworld, an alphabet to O, a kind of mouth. 1. The Humanimal sky is copper-like lids. Retrograde stars litter this intimate metallic curve above the jungle. Can you see it? All the branches stir in their silver, like a liquid metal, the jungle. For her, the girl, tentacular, does the skin crepe where her fingers are too wet, trailing in the river. This is what a child does, as in fairy tales. This is walking. I want to. All branches fear life. It pushes and pushes life out to the tips where the color is. Does this happen in Asian forests? Does this tree say yes, damaged by its yes to phloem, the food to the lips, of the branches where the leaves are, and thus a leaf girl, leaping from branch to branch in her dream of being a girl, and not this other disastrous thing. Like automata, the trees rise up in rows mechanically. Because it's January, we don't see scat or paw marks or tufts of blue hair caught in the low-lying branches. This is tracking. but the wolves, wild black dogs with elongated torsos, are deeper in. The district forest officer lifts a luminous skin from a termite mound with the snout of his rifle and holds it up to show me. When I reach out to gather another section of the skin, he stops my hand with his. When I ask if snakes are active at this time of year, he says, "Oh, no, no, madam. The Indian anaconda is not a problem at this time of year. Not at all. No problem." Nevertheless, we return in short order to the jeep, with footage only of a rudimentary perimeter in which giant insects have constructed conical temples from the moist ochre earth beneath the trees. I want to stay, but the filmmakers are stubbing out their cigarettes in the dirt. I didn't know the jungle would be red. I want to stand up, but I can't do that here. They would know I am a wolf by my sore hips, the look in my eyes. At the edge of the garden was a line of blue chalk. My mother was crouching there, waiting for me in her dark coat. In the dream, I walk towards her and she stands up. She opens up her coat like two wings, and I step into her cloth heart, her cleft of matted fur. The girl. I cannot retrieve even 1 foot from her small leg, a tendon, a nail. One eye. I saw her grave in a city where the edge had been. In your city, or where you grew up, was there an overgrown scrubland? Was there a tree? Imagine a dark tree, like a lemon tree, its fruits still green, studded with parrots, the edge of sal, lemon and banana plantings intermixed with the regular blue. It is blue leaves at night and brown, yellow, or doubly green by day, but blue. I put my hand on her grave and waited until I could feel the rhythm, faintly, of breathing, of a cardiac output. Mist rose in cubes. With hard fingers, they tore strips from my spine, all blonde black hair, all hair from a previous life. Feral children are fatty, complex, and rigid. When you captured the 2 children, you had to brush the knots out of their hair, then scrape the comb free of hard butter. Dissent and serration. No, I don't want to ask primal questions. Kamala slips over the garden wall with her sister and runs on all fours towards the complex horizon between Midnapore and its surrounding belt of sal. The Humanimal mode is one of pure anxiety attached to the presence of the body. 2 panicked children strain against the gelatin envelope of the township, producing through distension a frightening shape. The animals see an opaque milky membrane bulging with life and retreat as you would to the inner world. I am speaking for you in January. It is raining. Amniotic, compelled to emerge. The girls are nevertheless reabsorbed. I imagine them back in their cots, illuminated by kerosene lanterns. I illuminate them in the colony, the cluster of residences, including the home, around St. John's. No. Though I've been there, it's impossible for me to visualize retrieval. Chronologies only record the bad days, the attempted escapes. I was almost to the gate. I was almost to the gate when a hand reached out and pulled me backwards by my hair, opening my mouth to an O. The next day, I woke up with a raw throat. The cook gave me salt in warm water. I waited until she was gone, and then I bit it. I bit my own arm, and I ate it. Here is my belly, frosted with meat. Here are my eyes, bobbling in a tin. Maybe I should just stop there.